What's up everybody, welcome back to another video, and today guys I'm doing another bonus video. Yeah, that's right, I'm going ham bone, but I feel I have to. It's my way of saying thank you for the support. We hit 200 subscribers. 200. I just did my 100 subscriber special yesterday. That dropped yesterday, people. But I feel with the release of Ruin and the success of my latest video, which I can't say enough, thank you so much. I have never seen so many views, likes and comments before. Well, I wanted to do a video to give back, respond to the comments and theories on my latest video, and also maybe provide some insight into my current machinations and workings with Security Breach Ruin. Yes, I have already played it. Yes, I have already beaten it. Apparently there are secret endings. I have not gone and looked for all of those yet. As I said, I am still cooking. Gotta let me cook.
Let him cook.
But I have lots and lots of notes, observations that I want to put out early right now. But let's save that for later. Right now I want to focus on your theories because we've got a lot here. Okay, so guys, I just wanted to go through a few comments on my latest video just to see how the community responded to my video. I've already said this, but thank you so much for the support. I wanted to give back and listen because, as I've said, I am not a no-wall expert, no-wall expert. There's still a lot for me to learn. In the past week alone, I have learned so much about the game. I'm cooking up another theory. It's going to be a pretty big one, probably another controversial one. I thought this video was going to be controversial, but strangely enough, people seemed fairly responsive to it, which means that maybe I'm on the right track. Who knows? But anyway, first up from Vaguely Rowler, good video. I totally agree that the toys remnants were used to fuel the fun times. I just think people underplay the significance of Night Marion as the logo for Ultimate Custom Night. I assume that's what he means by Custom Night. That in tandem with the puppet's strangely self-aware voice line makes me think that their spirit plays a bigger role than the fandom believes it to. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I feel Night Marion and the puppet have to be different, especially at this point with the puppet's tears being gone. I feel like there is an argument to be made that Charlotte, or the spirit of Charlotte, or a distorted spirit of Charlotte is definitely still around. But I feel like the puppet character that we know them from FNAF 2 to FNAF 6, I think they're done. The Night Marion says, "I am the fearful reflection of what you have created." I think that completely separates the Night Marion from the puppet, just in my opinion. But yeah, it is very interesting that the puppet, I mean, she literally says, "I am very aware." So I don't blame you for thinking that the puppet's voice lines are strangely self-aware. I would have to agree with you as well. I feel like Night Marion definitely plays a massive role in Security Breach and by extension Ultimate Custom Night. Okay, this is a big one. You are aware that Golden Freddy has both Cassidy, whom has a gender-neutral name, is now called Cassie and was originally considered a male, and Gregory Afton. Ooh. Yeah, we're going crazy here. Sometimes called Evan Afton, depending on the book you're reading. See, I know what you mean, but this is a very complicated sentence. I guess it just goes to show how overcomplicated FNAF can be. So this guy thinks that Crying Child is Gregory. Now, I don't want to go off that assumption, and I think he has gone off that assumption for the whole of his comment. He seems to be saying that Golden Freddy has two spirits in it, something which I would agree. I think that whether or not he has a name, Crying Child is in Golden Freddy or Golden Fredbear, who are the same people as shown by Ultimate Custom Night. And let's just say Cassidy, but I'd prefer to say the fifth murder victim, just because, you know, we don't know. And I don't think Cassidy and Cassie are the same person. I think that just overcomplicates it. I do think that they both share Golden Freddy, and I think that the Crying Child spirit was lifted in the Happiest Day because the Happiest Day mirrors FNAF 4, and I think that is why now there is only one spirit. That's why they say us, because there are two souls in Golden Freddy. That doesn't really make sense because the line is, he tried to release you, he tried to release us. And unless he means two different he's, because the he that tried to release Golden Freddy was the puppet, and that's also a she, and the puppet didn't ever try and release William Afton. So the he must be referring to Henry, and Henry never tried to release Golden Freddy, so he didn't try to release us. Soulular says, this is pretty much confirmed by Fazbear Frights, where William is kept alive by the spirit of a boy named Andrew, one murdered by Afton. Of course, in fact, when Ultimate Custom Night launched, people didn't realize it was a nightmare. They thought it was hell, i.e. afterlife. Yeah, so I am now well aware of Fazbear Frights and Tales from the Pizzaplex. Apparently Tales from the Pizzaplex on the echelon of canon is more canon than Fazbear Frights, but less canon than the games. I don't want to spoil my upcoming video because I've got a whole video coming up with the Fazbear Frights and Tales from the Pizzaplex stuff and these scales of canon or whatever, and I don't want to spoil that, but I will say I think it's more to just elaborate and help the community get on the right line. I'm pretty sure that in this Fazbear Frights book, there are two people or two spirits in the same body question mark, you know what I mean, who are the ones fighting to keep William Afton in the nightmare, which also can be argued to tie into my theory, because as I spent ages talking about, Molten Freddy is multiple people, multiple spirits. So, you know, if there's multiple spirits holding him in the nightmare in the book, that kind of ties into the game. But, you know, I understand it's a very controversial theory to say that Molten Freddy is the one who is responsible for Ultimate Custom Night. Golden Freddy does seem to be everyone's favorite. Really good theory, and it makes narrative sense too. Good video. Thank you so much, man. The beginning timeline is spot on, but I feel like Afton learns from the haunting from the puppet and not Baby. So this is referring to the opening of my video, the intro, which is, it's a joke, it's a skit. And I feel like I kind of agree with this comment. I feel like William Afton does learn from the puppet and not Baby, because he has to find out about Remnant to make the Remnant injector. I feel like that adds up. I feel like William would have to kill the puppet first to then realize there's a reason to make these robots. So yeah, thumbs up from me. I think you're right. Oh, this is a good one. From Who is Cassie? I don't know. Really interesting theory. You made some valid posts. Here is my take. The reason I think this is wrong is because Fazbear Frights, the book, The Man in Room 1280, in this story, a little boy called Andrew does everything he can to keep William Afton alive. Yeah, and it's directly Andrew. The reason I think it's directly Andrew is because Andrew was the only FF character described to have curly black hair. I mean, I will probably agree with him that Andrew is meant to be Golden Freddy, but still it's not directly confirmed. Andrew is considered an alternate version of Cassidy. I mean, all very valid. Yeah, I actually replied to this one. This is one that I saw before. I replied to this one and I said, nice theory. I think it's a good theory. Here's a good one. Titan7789. Never heard an interpretation like this before, honestly. Lol, but I'll go over the parts I don't agree with here. I don't think UCN is an actual purgatory, but actually a nightmare. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying anyway. If you read TM, the Man in Room 1280, that's what Andrew basically does with William, and UCN itself confirms it's a dream by multiple referencing in his OS. Maybe that's what you meant though. Sorry if I got your interpretation wrong. Yeah, this is what I mean. I don't think that he's dead. That's what I'm trying to say. He's alive. I try to make that clear in my video. I don't think he came back to life. You guys at home know what I meant. Let's get on to the rest of his comment. Yet we get tombstones for the MCI in FNAF 6 Missing Children's Incident. Henry references FM. What's FM? And we also see green L on the screen when he talks about the resting of Charlie and those who she carried into her arms. Is that the give gifts, give life? Implying they're still here, and again showing give gifts, give life on the screen. Well, in my theory, technically the MCI are in the fun times, right? If we go off my theory, which is that the toy animatronics are possessed by the same spirits that possess the FNAF 1 robots because of the parts that were used in them. And that's the reason why I think that Molten Freddy is the blob, because it has all the remnant of the FNAF 1 and the FNAF 2 animatronics. So give gifts, give life, and tombstones ties into my theory as well, because I know that there is another set of kids who die in FNAF 2, but I still think that the MCI are the toy animatronics as well. I think that the toy animatronics and the FNAF 1 animatronics because of the spare parts. I mean, it's the Theseus ship analogy, right? So all of this actually works for my theory. B, he could have gone back to the suit. I'm imagining saying William could have gone back to the suit, or just more remnant after doing the remnant stuff. I don't really know what he means. Maybe he could have gotten Golden Freddy off screen. Only the 4 animatronics are shown to be broken down and not Golden Freddy. So I think that's what he means. But I think he dies before he's able to fully do that. That's just my interpretation. And see, yeah, seems like DCI was forgotten. Oof. I agree. And I think that the 5 dead kids in FNAF 2 don't really matter. I sadly believe. We don't see Golden Freddy being broken down, yet we know Golden Freddy is physical in FNAF 2. Interesting enough, we can't tamper him with FNAF 1. So I think what he's talking about here is that we know he's physical because in the Ultimate Custom Night menu we can adjust his settings, because we can't tamper with him in FNAF 1. That means he's not in the Ultimate Custom Night settings for FNAF 1. I don't think Golden Freddy is physical in FNAF 2 because he just randomly appears in your room and then disappears and is a disembodied head. Golden Freddy's design changing from FNAF 1 to FNAF 2 is a plot hole, but you just have to look over that because it's just a mistake, right? By the way, fun fact, Cassidy was prob spring locked. That is a fun fact. thank you. I'm having lots of fun. And for the security breach part, now we possibly know that Burn Trap is not William at all, so the blob could be not Molten Freddy as well. And I recommend looking into recent discoveries. Well, I have taken your advice. I have been looking into recent discoveries about the Mimic and Burn Trap and blah blah blah. But what we know about the Mimic now from the security breach ruin. Oh, this is a good one. Rbuzz2273 says, I like the souls of the toys being in Molten Freddy, but I think that the one torturing William has to be Cassidy and maybe also Evan. Yeah, perfectly valid theory. Oh, this is a really long one. Amir Princeling says, I really appreciate you bringing up the toy animatronics as I firmly believe that they weren't simply scrapped like most believe. I also believe that the community is misinterpreting the narrative of UCN. Personally, while I like your theory, I personally disagree, albeit I am tempted to accept the idea that the toys went on to become the remnants that fuel the fun times. I personally subscribe to the idea that the OGs were dismantled by William and the remnant was reused for the, Oh yeah, I see what you mean. I then believe that the OGs were remade with the toy animatronics for a few reasons. Ooh, this is interesting. If William destroyed the animatronics in 93 when FNAF 1 is believed to have closed, who would have sealed them in the safe room? I personally believe that Follow Me happens in 88 and that after William dismantles them, they are remade with the toys. Those animatronics are then later made into the Rockstars as implied by the Faz fact from FNAF AR. I actually don't know about that. That's interesting. Rockstar Bonnie was developed from the original Bonnie for use in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria franchise operations. Also, something to note is in the Follow Me minigame, Bonnie and Freddy have buttons. This is something only their withered versions have, but not their FNAF 1 variants. I subscribe to the idea that they mixed up the withers so that they could be used at FNAF 1 location, but are then destroyed by William, so they then remodel the character and use the toy Endos. I also don't think the minigame takes place after FNAF 1. I mean, that is the consensus, I would say, because it seems the most logical. But I've personally always believed that this Follow Me minigame takes place way before FNAF 1, just in my opinion. And so what I assume this person is saying is that the toy Endos are used to become the Rockstar animatronics, and he's saying that it would thematically fit very well if the Rockstars were possessed by the toys. Genuinely very interesting, because Lefty is a Rockstar animatronic and the puppet is commonly associated with the toys. Genuinely very great connection. Also, I have recently begun to believe that the idea that Mike is the protagonist in UCN while William is being told, so we're moving on from that. I mean, that is genuinely a really great theory. There's a lot to do there, the Rockstars being the toys. I think part of the reason why I think the fun times and the toys have a bigger link is A, because their designs are so similar, and B, Sister Location literally starts with the hand unit saying that Sister Location takes place after FNAF 2, right? Like, it literally puts that idea in your head right from minute 1, where it says, after the success of Freddy Fazbear's and subsequent closing, and there's only been one location we knew that had a grand reopening and then quickly shut down, which is the FNAF 2 location. I think that just makes a lot of sense to me, but I do think this alternate theory of the Rockstars being possessed by the toys is also very good. This is a very good theory. Dale Lifting says, Afton would have seen the nightmares, which is why they are in UCN. Didn't he make the illusion discs? Spoiler alert, this is a comment that I've already seen and commented on. Initially, when I read this, I thought, well, no, because illusion discs project a different visage depending on who views them, because it's like Scarecrow's fear gas. But no, that is actually not how illusion discs work. If we look in the books, if we look in Security Breach, if we even look at the new DLC, illusion discs do project a common image that everyone can see. So yes, William Afton, which is why I assume he means by Afton, has seen the nightmares, which is why they're there in UCN. It does make sense. My theory makes sense. A very interesting theory, but if UCN is a nightmare, how can be explained FNAF Help Wanted? Sorry, my friend, I can't answer that one. And so I think I'm gonna do one more comment or chain of comments. This one from the Bunny Buster. Not to criticize, but you said Michael was the one along the 3 animatronics outside the restaurant when that was actually William, not Michael. Mike and El Henry are working together on that building was a trap, while William Afton, a spring trap, was burned during FNAF 3, so that's him outside the pizzeria simulator as Scrap Trap. This comment actually took a long time for me to decipher, but I realized what he meant is that in this part of the video, I showed an image of every single animatronic in FNAF 6, and then shortly after I followed up by saying Baby Puppet, Molten Freddy and Michael, kind of implying that I thought that Scrap Trap was Michael. No, I guess that was just unclear editing, and when you search up FNAF 6 animatronics, this is one of the first images that comes up, so I used that in my video and presume people will understand. But that wasn't the comment that I wanted to talk about, because Someone else replied, and oh my goodness, this gets this gets out of control. Honestly, heavily disagree. Sister location is before 1, let alone 2. How would William know about Remnant before he's killed anyone? He can't really build Remnant harvesting robots with no kills to prompt it. It also just heavily seems like it's impossible. Michael wouldn't be an adult in this case either. Maybe as old as 16, hardly enough to get hired anyway. Not to mention if the gameplay is at 1985, why did William even get Remnant to inject the fun times? Did Ennard roam the streets for a whopping 38 years or so? Why was Michael somehow unable to find his father despite him just hanging around the same town and running locations for at least the next 8+ years till he got Springlock? Alongside, of course, what locations even shut down before 1985. It's mainly hinted that the Fredbear shut down, but that's not the location that the hand unit mentioned. It's specifically a Freddy Fazbear location. It honestly seems like an excuse to say Odo equals Courts from Hammer, and that doesn't make much sense. Which is him getting PTSD from the Bile of 83. Honestly, for FNAF 4, I suspect the ancestor location take place sometime in the 2010s or 2020s. Near where FNAF 3 occurs. As for before or after, I do lean towards after sister location. Trauma from when William tormented him after MM, beginning after the night Charlie did, manifesting as the nightmares. Bloody mouth for CC, bloody belly for Elizabeth, his nightmares personified. This is poetry right here. Not to mention mimicking the FNAF 1 layout, even having the FNAF 1 core in the background. By the way, I do agree that the gameplay for FNAF 4 probably takes place congruently or post FNAF 1 because it has to, because the FNAF 1 call is in the background. Well, to start off, FNAF 4 is 1983 and we play CC until night 5 to 8 where we play as Mike, which explains why we see Nightmare Fredbear Nightmares because Mike has PTSD from 1983. For sister location, it takes place in 1985 because Mike will be 18 due to him being born in 1967. The reason for sister location, it takes place in 1985 because Mike will be 18 due to him being born in 1967. They put him at 16 in 1983. He's suddenly a teen at least, but more likely 14 considering we do have adults for scale and he's suddenly not close to 1. And of course, it is immediately prior to the MTI. Where did he get the Remnant? You seem extremely confused. Circus Baby's Pizza World was an above ground location that only existed for one day where Elizabeth died. Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental was an entirely separate operation, likely under the original CBPW location, assuming they were connected directly. Oh my god! Why would the order have to be Michael? Why is it every time he gets fired, it's Odin tampering with the animatronics? There's more? Holy sh! 8 minutes ago. We're still going? Which leads me back into Ruin, which, let me just say right now, what an improvement from base Security Breach. Before we dive into the lore, let me just give my opinions on the game. The atmosphere is so much better. The Pizzaplex works so much better as this dark, damp, oppressive environment. Decrepit, decayed, and burned, rather than this bright, futuristic playground. Going back through the destroyed locations is satisfying, kind of reminds me of Portal 2 if any of you guys ever played that. The designs from the broken animatronics are a vast improvement to their original counterparts. I mean, look at this Chica redesign. Finally, the animatronics look actually creepy. There are some really impressive spectacle moments. I think my favorite would have to be this endoskeleton reaching out of the wall, but there's a lot of cool stuff like that just scattered around. It genuinely is quite impressive. Each section seems to be more thought out than most of Security Breach. Cassie is much more compelling in my opinion than Gregory as a playable character protagonist. The mask, don't worry, we'll get into that, provides so much. A, it adds in new locations, opens up the map, gets a different look on areas we've already seen before, and B, it creates a sense of tension and dread that just isn't present in the base game. It's simple psychology, something you need to wear in order to progress, but if you wear it too long, it kills you. That balancing act naturally generates stress. It's genuinely pretty great game design. It's only a simple feature, but it adds a lot. Kind of reminds me of the FNAF 2 mask now that I think about it. Now that I've gone over the positives, there are some negatives as well, namely how linear the game is. There isn't as much exploration as there is in the base game, which of course it's a free DLC, but still, I feel it must be mentioned. I don't think this DLC will be very replayable. I may be wrong, but who knows? That's just the vibe I got while playing. Sister location isn't very replayable either. There's still massive stutters, sometimes the game just freezes while auto-saving for minutes at a time, or the frame rate dips massively. Just inherent problems with the game engine. The stamina sprinting also still sucks. I really don't like this camera mechanic. The janky frame rate is intentional, but it makes me feel ill. Surely there's a smarter way to incorporate cameras into the game, and also the ending feels a little rushed, but it is intriguing. But now, onto the lore. I've noticed some very intriguing elements, and I know you have too, so just to give you guys a small teaser into what I've been cooking, let me go over some stuff. Okay, so one of the first things I noticed is, are there parts of the Pizzaplex that aren't real? Is the Pizzaplex actually smaller or bigger than we think it is? Are there hidden doors and entrances spread around? Can we really trust the geography that has been established in the whole of Security Breach? Another thing I noticed, this was the first thing, as soon as the Vanny robot gives you the mask, I mean, the first thing I noticed is that the Vanny mask inside is covered in wires. It's not just a regular mask, which people thought it might be in Help Wanted. It isn't just a mask. It definitely does something something more than that. As we see when we put it on, it lets her tap into everything. And not only that, there is the voice sample generator, which, I mean, that is just crazy. And you know that that opens up the door hella wide for theories. The fact that they can generate any phrase from even a small sample of someone's voice basically puts everything into question. That is huge right there. The voice sample thing, you definitely want to make a note of that. Also, the mask allows Vanny to teleport through these white doors. It also makes me think, did Gregory have one of these masks before? I think he could have. Now knowing that there's more than one, I feel it's quite likely that Gregory, before the events of Security Breach, may have had one of these masks. By the way, this room I think is practically confirmed to be Gregory's hideout at this point, considering there is a literal picture of a boy with brown hair with the words "me" with an arrow pointing to it. Maybe this was common knowledge, it's just something that I noticed and had to take a screenshot of. There are the baby plushes from Help Wanted in this room that do the giggle and then disappear, just like they do in that game. That's just, I don't know, man. I'm gonna really need to think about that one. Is baby spirit still there? Please, dear God, let at least someone have died. I think out of everything, this may be the sleeper hit in the most inexplicable part of the game. What are these baby plushes? How do they disappear? They must be ethereal, considering they literally just apparate. Something I also noticed is that Glamrock Freddy has a stomach mouth. A lot of people think that Glamrock Freddy is Michael, and you know, Michael's sister location. Also, Michael is the protagonist of FNAF 4, and everyone in FNAF 4 has stomach mouths. I think Glamrock Freddy having a stomach mouth, there must be something there, surely. And something which I assumed since before the DLC even came out, but is 100% confirmed, is that Cassie does have a connection to the Pizzaplex. She had a birthday party here. Maybe she stayed here as well. Maybe she is the one who this room belongs to. Is Cassie a robot? MXES Security? Does anyone know what that is? Am I forgetting something? Of course, we have the return of Candy Cadet, my guy. I love this guy, by the way. And he's telling a story about a mother and a son. A monster gets locked in the basement. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions, but from the lullaby stuff she said, I feel the mother has to be representing Ballora. I feel like the monster has to be representing William Afton. Is the son Michael? Is the son the crying child? Does it lead into the immortal and the restless, the child isn't mine thing? That's just my immediate gut instinct. I feel it has to be one of those types of things. I mean, monster in the basement, it's got to be William Afton in the bunker. It just has to be. Singing a lullaby, I feel like the mother has to be Ballora. They found a monster in the woods. All of this stuff, bringing Midnight Motorist sister location, that's just instantly what my mind goes to. So definitely put a note in that. That is mega important. And then we come to the end with the reveal that it's actually the Mimic, which I've heard that a few times now in the past week. But then we hear the real Gregory and we realize that there is a connection between Gregory and Cassie. What I immediately thought is that they were running away together, or they're both homeless, or they were both going on a journey. But from Gregory's actions, I feel like this confirms my theory that Gregory's the villain. I knew it, guys. I knew it, you know. Called it. I'll take that as a W. Thank you very much, guys. Gregory leaves Cassie, presumably to die. I will assume, because no one actually ever dies in FNAF, that Cassie is still alive. But it's still very interesting, you know. I'll take the W. But that leads me to my big thing, which is, of course, all of the connections to the books. I mean, I have been talking this whole video, basically, about the books. And this DLC also heavily leans into everything I know about the books, about the Mimic story. And just to give in a little insight, the books are gonna be the main part of my next FNAF video, because it's unignorable how big of an impact they have on the story at this point. I don't want to give away what my next video will be, not that anyone's gonna care enough to steal my ideas, but still, you know, I want it to be a surprise. All I will say is the books and the games are more connected than you might think. But the final thing I wanted to note just before we end the video, I don't know if any of you noticed this, but when you put the mask on, you can hear screaming, distant screams, ethereal noises, very distant partying, I think would be the right word for it. You can hear children giggling, screaming, running around. It's like there's a party. And this is something I've been thinking about for a very long time in FNAF, since it almost started. And if you know how much things have changed, you will know how big of a deal that is. You can hear people. You can hear lots of people. And to me, that seems like such a big deal, because why would they put that? It's a clear choice. It must mean something. And it just just hit me just a few moments ago. I remembered the ending monologue of FNAF 6.
You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach.
I remember HRY telling the animatronics this line. And if you put this line next to the sound effect of the distant screaming, I mean, they match up perfectly, which links to a question which I will put onto you, because I want to hear people's thoughts on it, which is the Pizzaplex haunted? So not the animatronics themselves, the actual building. If not the Pizzaplex, maybe the pizza place underneath. Ever since FNAF 1 came out and the missing posters changed on the wall, I have always wondered, is it just the robots that are haunted? Is the building itself haunted as well? And I feel like with this ethereal screaming, it just brought that back up in my mind again. Is the Pizzaplex itself haunted? I think there has to be something there, unless the screams are just to make it real creepy, which you know it does. But anyway, that's gonna have to do. That's just a teaser. I think I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer and let the community fester for a while before I make a definitive theory, but I am working on a big one, so don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for the support, and I will see you in the next one.